There we go. So we are live now, and I think you can see it up in the screen. It says recording in the top left corner. I will let you know once I stop recording as well. So my name is Laura, and welcome to Make an Interactive Dashboard. Just to give you a little overview of what we're going to be doing, I am going to introduce myself just to set some expectations as well. Then I will give you a quick overview of what we will do today. Then we will get hands-on, and then we're just going to wrap up really. So it's quite straightforward really. And yeah, just a little bit about myself. So I'm based here in Seoul in Korea. And just to set some expectations, I'm not a professional in any sort of capacity. My job is more tech adjacent. I wouldn't say it is super techy, to be honest. And this chapter is more of a hobby. So I'm sure there are better ways or other ways of doing what I am going to be talking about, but that's, I'm basically treating it as a hobby where I look at the world around me and then I think, okay, is there maybe a way of solving problems with code? And that's what I do basically. And the reason I'm bringing this up is when I host these meetups, I find that I get a lot of messages from people saying, oh, I kind of started coding last night. Can I join? Is that okay? But then when I actually have the meetups, I get very professional people who have PhDs, master's degrees in computer science. And I always feel like there's a bit of a discrepancy between these two audiences. So all I can do is just be myself at my level, which admittedly is not super high. But yeah, just to set some expectations. And then just to give you an overview of what we're doing. So we're going to look at our Amazon data, going to download it and inspect it briefly. Then we're going to make it readable. And then we're going to make a little dashboard. And at this point, I just want to check, are you planning on coding along? Are you just here to watch? What are you trying to get out of it, basically? Let me just have a look at the chat as well.
I'll watch so that it's probably too hard to code along. Look at the two screens at a time, but yeah, I'll watch just to get an idea.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think I will code along. Yeah, I will try.
Yeah, you're gonna try. Okay. Do you have Jupyter notebooks or?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you do. Okay, cool. In that case, just to give you an overview, so we're going to download our data, we're going to prep it, and then we're going to visualize it. It's nothing fancy, but it's interactive. It works. And yeah, just to jump straight in, let me just share my screen as well. One sec. There we go. Okay. Can you see the Jupyter notebook on your screen? Sorry. Does that work?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So if we want to download our data, you can use this link up here. And let me just pop that in the chat as well. Like so. Where are we?
Okay.
Oh, there we go. That is the link, just to maybe make it easier to access. And then you, when you click on it, the page that you get to basically leads you to your order history reports, and you input the start date and the end date, and you can give it any name. And then once you request it, it'll just download to wherever you want it to go, really.
How long did you, how long is your data? Like 5 years, something like that, 1 year, something like that?
To be quite honest, Amazon is a bit expensive for me here in Korea. So I don't normally order from it unless it's really sort of specialty, novelty items that I can't really get in Korea. So my data frame is actually very, very small. You're going to see that in a bit. And it's also very random because I don't usually buy for myself. It's usually gifts. But it's really up to you what time frame you're looking at. I looked at my lifetime data and I haven't actually purchased that much.
I'm gonna go with 2017, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Today is 17th. Okay. Okay, it's processing. Oh, I got it.
You got it? Okay, cool. So basically, once you've downloaded your data, you just import a couple of libraries and your data frame. And again, me not being a professional, I keep it really, really simple. I've got pandas for, well, data. I've got PyPlot for plotting. I've got Seaborn for a little bit of styling. And then I've got IPy widgets. And let me just put that in the chat as well, just in case. Like so. It's very, very straightforward. And then apparently, if you're in Jupyter Notebooks as opposed to a VS Code environment, apparently you need to use an extension. I haven't tried it for myself, but I thought maybe not everyone is using Jupyter Notebooks in VS Code. So I thought I'd just put that in there just in case.
How do you enable that?
How do I do what, sorry?
Enable the extension, the Jupyter Note. Ah, okay. Because you're working on VS Code.
That's right.
So is this something I need to import, this MV extension? Okay. Okay.
How's that working for you?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, and then the next thing you can do is you import your data frame. And I mean, it's probably going to have a different name from mine, but let me just put that in the chat, just for easier access, like so. And yeah, I mean, if you just look at your data frame, again, I use lifetime data, and as you can see, I haven't really ordered much at all. It's very, very random. So we've got the order date, we've got some ID. Actually, let's have a look at that in the data frame as well. So we've got order date, order ID, we've got a title, we've got what category it is, we've got an ISBN code, what website it's from, all sorts of things really. Release date, we've got the condition, we've got the seller. And yeah, I feel like looking at it, I don't really need to know all that. So just for me to have a quick look, I just looked at the columns. And then I picked some columns that I found interesting. Next slide, just put that in the chat. And I just found it to be too much information. So what I did is I reduced the data frame. I just picked the bits that I wanted, which were order date. So to kind of maybe look at other maybe patterns over time, what categories, so are there certain things that I buy more than others? And then the condition, do I normally buy used things? Do I buy, maybe new things? And then how much I actually paid. And let me just put that in the chat as well. But I don't know, are there any other columns that you found interesting? Maybe there's something that is more relevant to yourselves. And then it's probably up to you to decide on what you want to include in your data frame.
I think I would include purchase price per unit. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe currency as well, if you're doing international shopping, or maybe taxes.
Currency. Okay, sure. Cool. Yeah, I think those two are okay. Those two extra ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to kind of check that all that worked, just looking at the data frame again. So now I've got, where are we? Now I've got the order date, the category, the condition, and the item total, how much I paid for it at the time. And now what I want to do is I need to have the item total. And in the data frame, it's not actually yet in a numeric format. So what I've done is I removed the dollar symbol. Hold on, one second. Did it maybe not, let me try that again. Did it maybe not keep the original data frame? One sec. So what I moved the dollar symbol, and then I used regex to do that, and then I converted it to float. Oh, one sec. Oh. Hang on. Oh, sorry about that. Add in that as well, so it's actually readable. Like so. Okay, just looking at the screen now. So originally it had the dollar symbol in the front in the data frame, and it was, I think, a string object. So again, I removed the dollar symbol and converted to a float. Okay, and then just to kind of check that that has worked, so it has removed our symbol, and we can actually check maybe just to make sure that it's actually done that properly. Yeah, so now our item total bit is a float number. There we go. Okay. How big is your data frame? I feel like mine's very, very short, very small. Do you have a lot of data to work with?
Let me check what I got now. It's not that big. It's
how many rows do you have? What's the length?
20 rows.
Okay. That's reasonable to work with. Okay. And now here's the thing, right? Now we're using IPyWidgets to make a little dashboard. And the first thing we do is we use this bit here to enable interact, like so. And let me just walk through this bit here, and then I'll copy it into the chat as well. So we have this function here where we create a plot. And the columns, we are excluding the total because we only want to use the categories, okay? And then we're going to use the total as our y-axis, okay? Let me just put that up here, like so. Wait. There we go. And then the next thing we do is we use Seaborn to create a plot. The data frame is our data. We're using the columns up here as our x-axis. And then our y-axis is the total. I put alpha to 0.5 just so you can see the data sort of overlapping a little bit. And the size of the dots that you're going to see in a bit, I set that to 9, but you can adjust these, of course, to your own liking. And let me just put that in the chat as well. And I had a look, so apparently category plot and Seaborn scatter plot and swarm plot, they work as well, but I kind of preferred strip plot for displaying the data. I gave it a title, and then depending on what column you're looking at, it'll give us a different title as well. And then I used Seaborn. I used the dark red style and the palette. Let me just run that so it actually displays. Yeah, okay. So now if we look at it, it has a dark style, and I put the palette to bright so we can actually see the colors nicely. Just put that in the chat. Next slide. Wait. There you go. Did it switch off my camera? Oh dear. Hold on. No.
Yeah, you.
Oh no. Okay. For some reason, my camera stopped, didn't it?
Yep.
Well, nothing I can do. It doesn't turn back on. I guess it'll just have to be that way then. Let me go back, and then just to, again, that's a little bit for my styling. So I'm using notebooks, so Jupyter Notebooks as my context. I use a different font scale, and I also used some lines, but again, that's just purely for aesthetic purposes. I rotated the X-text, so it's a bit easier to see. And I use that for title layout. And let me just put that in the chat as well. Like so. What I'm going to do, let me just refresh the page, and maybe the video will turn back on. Well, I'll leave you with that. Okay, yeah, that's working. Let me just put that back on. There we go. Okay, yeah. And now if we just have a look at this bit here. So we've got the order date here. We've got the item total. And it's, yeah, it basically has these bits. We've got category, and we've got the condition as well. And then I think you were saying you were maybe including a couple of other columns. Again, you can cycle through these. And now what I find interesting is, so for condition, yeah, you can mostly see it's mostly new stuff, or maybe used very good, maybe some used good bits. And then for categories, okay, I have, they're a bit random, but apparently I bought books the most. And then for condition, hold on, not for order date, maybe that's interesting as well. For order date, again, it is very random, not really any patterns per se, but apparently in 2019 on that day, I got a whole bunch of things. So just looking at your own data frames, are you able to see any patterns? Is there anything that you find interesting?
Mine is not, I mean, the function is working, but it's not plotting. I don't know if this interactive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that tomorrow or something like that.
What I've found is depending on what kernel you use, sometimes you get different results as well. So for example, if I switch to this one over here, it displays very, very differently. And I'm not sure why, but yeah, it is interesting. Let me put that up again.
Ta-da.
Let's see. Okay, something stuck somewhere. Let's have a look. Oh, okay, yeah, and I found that as well. Yeah, so depending on what kind of use, sometimes it doesn't find the module. Let me try something else.
is not defined. What? Ah, okay.
Yeah.
No, I define matplotlib.
Again, sorry.
No, it's just
No.
saying that I didn't import matplotlib. But I think I'm seeing a
Mm,
plot right now. It's like I ordered a lot of things on
mm,
March 2021.
yeah.
Actually, 20, 20 things.
Mm.
And then in December, and then back again. Yeah, December and March, I think, are the strongest months.
Is that for Christmas?
Maybe, I think so.
Maybe. Yeah. So here's the thing that I find interesting, right? So, excuse me. Earlier when I was looking at it, the layout was really, really different, right? It just showed a sort of bright blue color, and then I changed the kernel, and then suddenly it has, yeah, a whole bunch of other colors, but the whole layout is very different. I'm not sure why it does that, but yeah, it looks completely different. Okay, yeah, and that's it really. Yeah. Any closing remarks? Is there anything you want me to go back to? Maybe anything you want me to look back in to?
That was very straightforward. Thanks for that demo. I'll probably want to download my personal info on my personal computer
Mm-hmm.
and then try that code, which is capture my personal data and then send it to me because I'm on my work computer. So I usually don't mix the two. But yeah, that's a pretty nice illustration and demo on how to use all those functions. So it's thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm sure there are much better, much fancier ways of doing it, but it works. It kind of has answered the questions that I wanted to have answered. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah, there are. I was yesterday on a meeting
Mm-hmm.
with a group of data scientists,
Mm-hmm.
and they mentioned something I never heard before. That it was some type of cosine something that what it is they kind of like look at, let's say, at a file,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say if it was an Excel document or CSV file, and
Mm-hmm.
then just kind of like look at it and convert it into kind of like an array of numbers, kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
matrix, and
Okay.
then they get those eigenvectors and translate that into kind of like a line. So they kind of like a confusion matrix with all zeros diagonal, and that kind
Mm-hmm.
of creates a diagonal line.
Mm-hmm.
And then they measure those diagonal lines and angles
Mm-hmm.
to find patterns if the file is the same or if it has changed. It was something so really, it just blew my mind, like,
What?
I've done a little bit of predictive analytics, but not that advanced. So it really blew my mind.
What's the goal of doing that?
If so,
Mm-hmm.
there's a high volume of documents,
Mm-hmm.
let's say CSV file or Excel documents,
Mm-hmm.
and the like you want to compare if they contain the same values or if
Mm-hmm.
they have been updated, because they update
Mm-hmm.
constantly, but then you wouldn't have the time or the eyeballs to really go and open up each one of them and
Mm-hmm.
look if there has been an update on that. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you could possibly compare thousands of the same record but just different updates, and then try to monitor if now this one is different.
Do you use
It
that
was
in
something
cloud?
crazy.
Yeah. Do you use
Huh?
that in cloud computing? Like when you store data, is that for
I wasn't
database?
using it. I was just
Yeah.
listening to that demo
Okay.
yesterday, and I'm totally blown away because I didn't even heard of that cosine thing. The closest thing I come to cosine is I use, let's say, I'm giving a set of degrees for
Mm-hmm.
a circle, and then I turn those degrees into radians, and then from those radians I calculate the sine and cosine, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'm able to generate x-y coordinates
Mm-hmm.
and plot a circle. So
Mm-hmm.
that's as far as I know. But though that other approach apparently is something on advanced analytics
Mhm.
predictive analytics that it's I just never heard of, and it's pretty cool.
Is it a relatively recent thing or is it quite established?
I don't know.
Mm.
I don't study that. So I mean,
Mm.
I am a data scientist as well, but
Mhm.
I mean, I guess I study some older stuff,
Mhm.
right? That is new to me. So it's always good to be blown away.
Enrique, did you have anything that blew you away recently?
I was just taking a look. Do you know? Have you seen this? What's the name of this thing? Is Mid Journey? You know what's that?
Mhm.
It's like it's a bot with AI, and then you say like imagine, and then you give some prompts, and then they it gives you an image of what you are asking for.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's pretty mind blowing what they're doing. And then I was checking, and it's always like matrices and vectors, and then with almost like data science. And then I was just checking like the math behind it. It's just wow,
Mhm.
it's awesome.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So the eigenvectors. So for example, they get used if you are doing clustering, right? And or you want to consolidate a lot of variables. Let's say you have 50 or 100 columns, and then you want to turn them into one.
Mhm.
So you turn all those columns into a matrix,
Mhm.
and then those eigenvectors are created, and then you end up with just kind of like a one row of calculation, which
Mhm.
represents all of those variables into one, right?
Mhm.
And then you feed that into some of the things, and you do probably A/B testing and all kinds of sort of things, right? But there's all kinds of approaches. Like the very simple approach that just do a linear regression. It's like it's like way in the past, right? Which is
Mm.
still useful, I think.
Do you think there's a way for you to use that maybe in your daily life or in your job?
Linear regressions, yes, all the time, but not
Mhm.
not not the other stuff that I saw. Like I'll leave it to uh, those guys with more experience on it.
Mm. Okay. Well, maybe if you get into it. Mm.
There's always a way to learn, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. What are you learning at the moment? What are you studying?
So I'm taking Code Academy. So I'm taking a refresher on Python.
Mhm.
Last Python class I took, it was 11 years ago.
Mhm.
So, and I
Wow.
haven't really used it much. So I've used some other languages, and
Mhm.
but then Python, I kind of like left it kind of like fade away to the
Mm.
point that even the syntax, I was forgetting. So it's all coming back
Mm.
pretty fast, right? But yeah, I'm gonna from that course, I've done 3% of it. So it's just
Mm.
like that's
Fair
why I'm
enough.
here, to just get myself exposed to what's new on Python and all that approach, right? Because I've been using some other tools.
Mm. What about you, Enrique?
Oof, that's I started like 2 years ago with the data science. The before I mean to 2021 they didn't split it up, and now there's like data science, analytics, and machine learning and
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
So I finished the whole thing and did the final project. It took me like a year or two to finish everything because I mean there
When
is
you have a
lots.
full-time job, it's a bit tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
horrible. And now I am trying to finish the machine learning specialization here. I mean,
Mm.
I'm really
And Code
they
Academy,
yeah.
cool.
I am losing pro in like 2 months, so I have to finish everything I can in 2 months because right now they're doing like $360 a year. It's a lot of money for Latin America. So
Mm. I think
I
Academy
gotta
has a bit of sales though, every now and again.
like
Mm.
50% or something like that.
Mm. That kind of thing.
Well, I'm paying nothing because my company pays for it. But I
Nice.
don't know how long I'm gonna have it because some other platforms we have like almost forever, and this one was new. So I'm just part of the trial that, and then I enroll into the data scientist, analytics specialist, and then
Mm.
the Python class. So the Python course. So doing both at the same time, but this could end any moment.
Mm.
So enjoying it while I can, right? Taking advantage of it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Where did you learn all this data science that you just show us today, Laura? Like you did the whole Code Academy thing, or did it in other place?
Yeah, it's really just Codecademy, and then yeah, looking up random things, and then just really looking at the world around me and sort of going, oh, okay, I actually want to find out about this bit. Let me try and see if there's a way. But yeah, it's really just intellectual curiosity. My job doesn't really require coding. I look at analytics, but I don't really create any systems. It's not a very, it's more like tech adjacent, if you will. But yeah, I'm just enjoying it as a hobby. I'm just kind of enjoying it for itself, for its own purpose.
That's nice. Yeah. Even though I don't code much in Python, I kind of like know how to look a little bit of code and try it. So I do have a few notebooks. The latest one I worked on is I was just curious on how to transcribe some meeting notes, because there was a kind of like a 2-day event of meetings nonstop back to back, and there was a lot of video and audio generated off of that. And I got to explore what's the name of it, the OpenAI, and the transcribe method on that. So basically what you do is you could potentially get a MP4, which is a video, and then extract the MP3 out of it, because it has different layers. And then the MP3 is just the audio, or you can just pass the MP3 audio to that engine, and then import a couple of tools that you need for that. And then once you get that MP3, then you transcribe it, and you transcribe it, put it into a data frame, and save it to a CSV file. The idea is that, instead of taking a lot of notes, well, you just get the audio and then transcribe it right away, similar to what some services may do, right? Like on AWS. But that's the idea. You're doing it in-house, and then it's like you're not sending the codes or the audio anywhere, so that people then know what the meeting was about, right? And yeah, it took us, me and my colleague, a couple of days to figure it out, and there were some hiccups along the way. It is especially tricky to extract the audio from the video, but then once you got the audio done, and then you can easily transcribe it and put it into text. And
just out of, oh, sorry, no.
Yeah, it is on text.
Just out of curiosity, how does that work? For example, for little non-fluencies like ums or ahs, or how does it work if you have an accent, for example?
So
for example, you have an accent as well.
think-
Like how does it handle different ones?
The model recognizes like 100 and some languages, and obviously English is going to be the stronger one, and then it actually transcribes all of that into, let's say, English. And once, I think, I'm not really sure, but I think you could even transcribe it into different languages, which is really translated. But at least you transcribe it into English, and it has a couple of different models. So it has the English, the base English, and then the base, it has the base, the small. I will have to look them up. It's been about a couple of weeks. I don't remember much, or look at the code. But it is. You're familiar with that OpenAI system, right? Is the Whisper model? I'm trying to.
I'm not familiar, so yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, it's. Let me try to see about that. Where is it at? It'll take me a little while to open this up. But yeah, it's kind of like the Whisper model, so which is part of the OpenAI. And there's some like the MPEG or MPEG that's the one that extracts the audio.
Mhm.
So I got this thing over here. Let me see. Browse. Here.
When you were using it, did you find that it extracts the words accurately, or does it make mistakes?
Fairly accurately. You know,
Mm.
like it missed a few names and here and there, but it was a fairly good job.
Mm.
So I have it. So transcribe audio. I kind of like read some of the stuff that I can probably share.
Mm.
I wouldn't be able to share the screen, but I could probably share a little bit of the code. So,
Yeah.
you know, like some of the stuff we do, import pandas. So this is, let's say, let me put it where I'm trying to copy here. My mouse keeps disappearing. So
Oh dear.
it's so this is the first thing we do, right? I don't know if
Mhm.
you see it.
Mhm.
We import pandas, OS, Whisper, FMMPEG, which is the one that translates from an MP4 to MP3.
Mhm.
And then we do, well, um, you set the directory. So to see users. And so just to give you a hint on that, because otherwise I'll be sharing personal stuff.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
you know, you use some of that to just set the tone where you are, where
Mhm.
your file is going to be located.
Mhm.
And then the model itself, it's the model Whisper
Mhm.
load, and model is base English. There's a small and there's a base.
Mhm.
There's even bigger ones but they take a lot of space. And
Mhm.
then the next line is you actually you save it into a variable to transcribe the model.
Wow.
And then once you have it transcribed, then you just convert it into text.
What was
Let
that?
me do that.
Mm.
Let me know if you see that correctly.
Mhm.
You see that correctly? So you get the model that transcribe method, which takes that MP3, and then once you have it transcribed, then you use the extracted text out of it and save it into a variable, and then from there just I think you just print it as well. You can print it to the screen, and then you save
Mm.
it to a data frame.
Mhm.
Looks like this. Uh, and that potentially this. And it's not, so this is another tool specialized for analytics.
Mm.
It's not really, well, it has kind of like a notebook.
Do you find that when you don't have to take notes, we just record and then extract the spoken text? Do you find that it kind of frees up people to think rather than being focused on taking notes, that kind of thing?
Such as what?
Like, for example, let's say I'm in a meeting and I think to myself, oh, I need to take notes. And now that you have this model, right, you just kind of record it and then you extract the spoken information.
That,
You find that
that's
it
the,
frees up thinking capacity?
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
intent of the use case,
Yeah.
to, let's say, this other program that I use, by the way, it's called Alteryx.
Mhm.
So with that, within it, you can do all kinds of things, including applications. So
Mhm.
the intent of it would be to have a model that once, let's say, you finished all your meetings, and then let's say you have back-to-back meetings, right? 2 days in a
Mm.
row. So you have
Mhm.
all kinds of audio. Well, this thing, once you have it kind of an application based, all
Mhm.
you do is just feed it, let's say, a folder of items, and then it
Mhm.
auto generates all the text. Furthermore, then we actually take that text and then you can create your workloads. or some of the stuff, right? Or
Mm.
but yeah, it's a lot of content that once it's all set up, then the intention is through, and now you can get at least a summary of a transcription of the whole thing, right?
Mm.
Unless you want to hire a court clerk or a
Yeah.
court reporter, right? They're typing pretty fast, and they capture everything everybody's saying, right? Nobody's that fast.
Yeah.
So, but then I guess that is coming into Microsoft Teams pretty soon. You know, they're mentioning already that they have that technology where they're going to capture everyone's points and
Mhm.
summarize the meeting and send a summary of the meeting to every participant. And then even better yet, that whenever somebody mentions that, we should task this person to do this and that, it's automatically even going to create a task for that person.
Wild.
So future is going that way for sure. You know, it's like, you know, their probably meetings are going to be reduced because they're going to be more like, all right, let's brainstorm a little bit and then
Mhm.
let's assign some tasks to different people and departments, which is great, right? You know, it's
Mm.
like, who wants to show up to the meeting? Just tell me what the meeting was about, summarize it, give me the bullet points, and tell me what to do, right? So that's easy.
Mhm.
It's awesome, right, Enrique?
Yeah, I love the future.
Yeah. By the way, I'm from Mexico. I'm from Guadalajara, Mexico.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I also speak Spanish. I take you live in Florida.
Me?
Yeah. Are you living in Florida or no?
No, I work remote for a San Diego company, but I have been living in Spain, but I'm back in Colombia.
Okay. Yeah, my wife is from Colombia, so she's from what's that? Valle del Cauca, Cartago. So
Okay. Yeah.
I guess in a couple of months we're gonna go there.
Oh, that's cool.
How about you, Laura? I know you're in you said Korea, right?
Mm.
But have
Right.
you been like Latin America, any country somewhere in there?
Really sorry, I have not.
No.
Out of all the continents I've been to, I have not. I will.
Which places have you been to?
Mainly just Europe and Asia and Oceania, that kind of
Oh,
area.
okay. Well, you're still far away from Europe, no? I mean, that's quite a flight, no?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Bit of a
All right.
difference.
Cool.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Well, what else do we do? It, it, it's almost what's it, an hour meeting or
50 minutes. I mean, we can go a little bit
50 minutes?
longer than
Right.
that. I was kind of expecting the technical bit to be quite short, but I found that when I had previous meetings, that was quite meaty, and then I found myself rushing. So I was like, okay, today I'll just put a little bit longer time frame, and then maybe just chat like we're doing now, right? I just wanted it to be a bit more relaxed. But yeah, we can go into overtime. We can wrap up as you prefer.
I'll also send you my email address there,
Mhm.
so in case you guys want to keep in touch, then we can do that. But yeah, I use a tool called Alteryx, which
Mhm.
is a kind of like a program that allows you to manipulate data and do analytics and, you know, do all kinds of things. You know, clean up, use regex, do predictive analytics, do linear regressions, all kinds of things, right?
Mm.
Very powerful.
Mm.
Um, and it really allows you to do all kinds of things. I mean, you can connect to data sources, different data sources. Let's say using SQL, you can of course do all your custom queries and or just connect to flat files, CSV, or you connect to a flurry of files and do them all on a batch. And it is amazing, that tool. I'm telling you, I'm in love with that. I've been using that for like 7 years, and I was one of the user group leaders in over here in Phoenix for
Mm.
that program, where we usually have weekly. It was actually monthly meetings, but we meet in person, and really fun stuff. So I highly recommend that if you ever get a chance to use it,
Mhm.
you're gonna be hooked on that.
Mhm.
I usually often I do presentations on showing how to do a few things on Alteryx, and you can get blown away with some of the stuff that can be done in Alteryx.
How do you spell that? Sorry.
Alteryx. So let me type it. Alteryx. So it's called Alteryx. Probably Alteryx.com, and they have a huge community. It kind of like pairs really nicely with Tableau.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it is because they have Alteryx. What is Tableau Prep, right? So it was kind of like an afterthought of Tableau Prep of what some of the stuff that you can do in Alteryx, but Alteryx is really like on its steroids. You know, like you can do all kinds of things.
Yeah. Where does that name come from? It sounds like a dinosaur name.
So alter is just to alter, to modify, and
Mhm.
XY, it's coordinates. Really,
Oh, okay.
the program came out of manipulating geospatial analytics or coordinates and things like that. And so they said, you always alter X and Y, so it's just Alteryx, right? It is. It is really really powerful program. So I used to be a data analyst for years, and then there were some situations where I couldn't do it. Something, whether I was getting stuck with like Excel couldn't do it, or Power Query couldn't do it, or SQL couldn't do it, and this thing comes to the rescue because it's super awesome. If you ever get a chance to, and there's a lot of interactive videos free on that website. So the website itself, let me just get you the link.
I'm looking at it now.
Oh, you could even do a Python on that. That's what I show you. I did the Python on Alteryx, and I took it out of there. But of course, then I really have all the power of that program to either feed data to it or then process data down the road. So let me do the community.
I think they're gonna have to start paying you commission, really.
I'm just an enthusiast, right? I'm really just an enthusiast of the company that it really works great for me, or it has worked great for me as an analyst and as a data enthusiast. I mean, to be honest, I don't see that I could work doing my work as a data scientist without this program, because I can still use some of the tools, like some of the predictive tools. They're already there. I don't have to like type them up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have a big community. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Is
it's
like the learning curve really hard? I mean, you said you can do Python and it's like Tableau also. I mean, is it like how long
it's
do I
not
need
like
to learn?
Tableau really, but you prepare data and extracts and push them into Tableau server. But yeah, it's a very powerful program. I've been in the community since 2016 as well. My handle, let me type it up here. It's we're here 4900. So look me up, ping me there. You get stuck with Alteryx, I'll help you out.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, great meeting you, Laura and Enrique. Keep in touch and keep it up. So looking forward for your next invite.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll write you an email.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Laura, before you go, I'm curious. Like, you live in Korea, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have the image, and there is like everything is super tech. They're like 100 years advanced from us. Do they really use like data science or coding for everything, or how it's like the thing there?
Like technology is definitely 2050.
Okay, so if you don't know like Python, you don't know anything there or something like that.
I mean, see, here's the thing. So again, because I don't really work in tech myself, it's very hard for me to comment. But generally, people are very smart, very proficient in technology. And then it being a Confucian heritage culture, there's a huge emphasis on academic learning and academic achievement. I'm not really able to comment on everything, but it is very involved for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Okay.
Very good. Well,
Okay.
it was great meeting you, talking to you guys. I'll sign off, and thank you very much for the demo. All right.
Yeah. Have a nice weekend.
All right. You as well. See you.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too. I will see
Okay.
you in the next one.
All right. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.